Episode 47, A Muppet Love Child, originally posted January 24, 2014. For better or worse, Return of the Jedi will forever be known as the Star Wars movie that introduced us to those lovable, or hated depending on who you ask, little furry creatures from the moon of Endor, the Ewoks. Whether you're a fan or not, one can't deny that the Ewoks were a hit right out of the gate, finding life past Jedi through 2 straight-to-video movies and a Saturday morning cartoon. Because they were so big, many seem to overlook the fact that they weren't the only unique alien species introduced in Jedi. In fact, you don't really have to wait too long into the movie to meet this other, not so cute and furry alien. Looking like the offspring of Kermit and Miss Piggy, the Gamorrean Guard was not designed to win any beauty contests. In the first act of Jedi, we are introduced to these big green hulking pigs when C-3PO and R2-D2 enter Jabba the Hutt's palace, where the Gamorrean Guards are employed as, well, guards. And that's all they really do, guard the palace and look ugly and gruesome. The next memorable thing these guys did was die, either by ending up as Rancor Chow or lightsaber fodder. Yep, I guess life wasn't so great as a Gamorrean. Anyway, as a kid, I didn't really care much for these dudes and I cheered along as I saw them die. And I was not really torn up when I never got their action figure. And speaking of his original action figure, here's an interesting fact about it. To save money, toy companies like Kenner were known for reusing toy molds. And this reuse wasn't just limited to stuff within a said toy line, but between different toy properties as well. When it came to rolling out a toy line for the 1991 movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, Kenner turned to some existing Star Wars toys to beef up the line. With a slightly different paint job and a few more added parts, the Ewok Village playset instantly became Sherwood Forest. And for Friar Tuck, they just used the old Gamorrean mold, with a new head of course, and called it a priest. So anyway, fast forward years later and I'm doing some toy hunting in Singapore, and I came across this guy. Now at the time, I didn't really consider myself to be a full-on Star Wars collector. True, I'd scoop up any Ewok I see or some cool-looking Jedi or Sith that caught my eye, but I never really did imagine that I would get myself a Gamorrean Guard. However, holding this dude in my hand, I couldn't help but admire the detail put into this modern design. First of all, his sculpt and paint job were excellent. And more than that, I think what really got me was that he was fuzzy. Yeah, you heard that right. Fuzzy. Now when it comes to Star Wars, Hasbro is known for mixing in actual fabrics called soft goods into some of their figures. Usually when a character has a cape or a robe, like a Jedi, it's more often than not actual cloth, which usually doesn't work really well in my opinion. But for this Gamorrean Guard with his fuzzy pants, it worked. It really added an extra touch of realism into this dude. I just had to have him. So despite not being a Star Wars collector, it didn't take me long to be a proud owner of my own little green pig man. Anyway, fast forward a few years later, I did eventually fall to the black side. More specifically, the 6-inch Star Wars Black Series toy line. And so when a Black Series Gamorrean Guard was released in 2018, it wasn't even a question on whether I would get him. In fact, I got 2. Oddly enough though, despite being a whole lot bigger than the 3.75 version that I originally got, this Black Series version seemed to have a less detailed face deco. I don't know, it just looked a little bit more amateurish, which was something I just couldn't live with. So I had my 2 boys sent to my go-to Star Wars customizer Marvin de la Cruz for a piggy makeover. As always, the work he did was very subtle but effective. I especially love the extra shine he put on their mugs to simulate a little slobber. Anyway, I think it's worth mentioning that I was pretty stoked when a couple more Gamorreans got slightly expanded roles in the Book of Boba Fett show, doing what they do best, serving as his guards. Unfortunately, I feel the writers did them dirty by unceremoniously pushing them off a cliff. Oh well, if Hasbro does decide to immortalize this poor duo in Black Series plastic form, they will be instant purchases for me, despite their more svelte appearance. So to close, while they will never overtake the Ewoks as my favorite alien race from that galaxy far, far away, I will always have a special place in my heart for the Gamorrean Guards. Even after all these years, these guys remain some of my favorite figures in my Star Wars collection, standing guard proudly in my Jabba's palace centerpiece. So, is anyone else out there a fan of these big alien piggies? Anyone else have a thing for fuzzy shorts? Let me know in the comments below and tell me your story. No judgments from me, I promise. Thanks for watching Stories from the Toy Shelf Redux. If you enjoyed this story, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel to help me tell more. Until the next one.